I thank the member for Forestfield for the question. And indeed, the start of the school year is not only a nervous time, Mr Speaker, for students, particularly those starting school for the first time, it's also a nervous time for my people in building management works that are responsible for delivering, making sure that every student has a classroom. And this year, Mr Speaker, there were 4 new primary schools that our government delivered on time and on budget. I'm very proud to say that to all members in this House. The four schools, Mr Speaker, the Alkimos Primary School, which is valued at $14 million, the Harrisdale Primary School, valued at $15.2 million, the Anne Hammersley Primary School in Ellenbrook, valued at $15.8 million, and the River Gums Primary School at Baldivis, valued at $18.8 million, Mr Speaker, all completed on time and on budget, Mr Speaker. Importantly, these schools employed 1,700 people during that's all 4 schools over the construction period, and part of a $300 million program that we deliver for schools in Western Australia. Each of these schools, state-of-the-art, Mr Speaker, air conditioning, nature playgrounds and, of course, interactive whiteboards, state-of-the-art facilities for our very important young students. Each school can accommodate 430 students, right through from kindergarten to Year 6. And I'll just finish with this, Mr Speaker. One of the other aspects about delivering these programs is the 1% for art, and so there's unique art at each of these primary schools, and I'll just highlight one at Alkimos and congratulate Mrs Judith Forrest on actually creating some unique artworks that highlight or embrace the topics of inclusion and value difference in schools. Very important lessons and values for students, Mr Speaker. So congratulations to my staff, Building Management Works, for delivering 4 new primary schools on time and on budget.
Right. Member for Midland.
Without notice is to the Minister for Police, and I too congratulate you on your new role as Deputy Premier. Minister, we've had 8 months of double-digit crime increases, and crime in this state is currently running at a massive 17% higher when compared to the same 8 months the previous year. So I ask, 1, will you now admit that Operation Sweep has been a failure? 2, will you now admit that your new policing model, Frontline 2020, has failed? And 3, do you now concede that your new plan, Operation Tweak, is actually a massive overhaul of your failed policing model?
Minister.
Thank the member for Midland for the question. In short, the answers are no, no, and there is no Operation Tweak. A nice little attempt at humour there. I think it went down really well. So, Mr Speaker, with respect to the crime stats, yes, we've been talking a lot about crime stats in this state, and in response to the increases that we've seen this year as compared to last year, the Commissioner has announced some changes to his operating model. But we should not forget, Mr Speaker, that the fact that this government has put in 500 additional police and police auxiliary officers since 2008, and we're well on track to delivering our additional 550 commitment, which we will achieve by 2017. Those extra resources going into the WA Police Service, plus the change in the operating model to the Frontline 2020 model, has allowed the police to respond to these increases in crime and to better target the efforts of their local policing teams. Mr Speaker, what we need to remember and what people need to understand is that out of Operation Sweep and the Frontline 2020 model, what we have started to see is an increase, a 15% increase in the number of charges laid. We're starting to see the availability. We're starting to see the availability of police resources on the busy times, the Fridays, the Saturday nights, when we know we see peaks in crime. We have up to 18% additional cars on the road to respond to crime. Mr Speaker, we've seen our priority 1 and 2 response times increase and improve. So we have moved towards closer to our KPIs, Mr Speaker, and in fact those improvements, I'm very proud of those improvements. And let us not forget where we came from, Mr Speaker. Over the past 10 years in this state, we have seen a dramatic decrease in reported crime in this state. And I know the people opposite don't like it, Mr Speaker, but back in 2004-05, I'm not sure who was the minister then, but it wasn't one of us, the 9,603 reported offences per 100,000 people. It's now down to 8,006. That's still a big number. We don't accept 8,006, but by gee, it's a lot better than 9,603. Burglary offences, Mr Speaker, 1,328 offences per 100,000 people. Where are we now? 1,013 per 100,000. Still too big a number. We haven't given up on that, but a hell of a lot better than it was when those opposite were in government, and I think the member for Midland may well have been minister. So, Mr Speaker, we will continue to work on driving down crime stats. Of the last 10 years, this Liberal National Government has been in government for 7 years, and yes, we take credit and responsibility for driving down those crime rates. They bump around a bit, but the trend is downward. So, Mr Speaker—
Members.
So, Mr Speaker—
Sit down, please. Right.
Yes.
Member for Midland, will you order for the first time? Right, wind this up, please.
So, Mr Speaker, I will continue to support my Police Commissioner, and I will continue to support my executive team of police, and I will continue to support the efforts of our police officers, who have not only been dealing with unprecedented change in their policing model, they have been working their butts off out there in our community, collaring these offenders, bringing them before the courts, and as a result of our legislation, more of them will go behind bars and we will start to see crime decrease. Mr Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Minister, if Frontline 2020 hasn't failed, why are you doing such massive overhaul to the model you rolled out?
Minister.
Mr Speaker, once again, the member for Midland has not paid attention to what the Commissioner has said about the change in the way that the model is working.
Member for Midland.
Member for Midland, if you listened for a minute, and I'll explain it to you, because the Commissioner was very clear. The Commissioner was very clear. The Commissioner was very clear. He is redirecting the efforts of the local policing teams to the causes of volume crime. No, it's not. It's directing the effort.
Sit down. Right. Member for Midland, member for West Swan and member for Armidale. I want a quick answer to this. I want to move on. Minister.
Speaker, the Commissioner has said that because of the Frontline 2020 model, he can now redeploy all of his resources more effectively to focus on family and domestic violence, volume crime, home burglaries and motor vehicle theft. Those are the key areas where we're seeing these increases in crime as compared to last year. We will continue to focus that effort. And the member for Girrawheen interjected about detective vacancies. Mr Speaker, yes, I know. And Mr Speaker—
Member for Girrawheen.
Mr Speaker, there are 47 detective vacancies.
Member for Girrawheen, call you to order for the first time. Right. Minister, quickly.
Mr Speaker, there are 47 detective vacancies because we created 50 new positions. That's why there's vacancies, and we're filling them from our growth program.
Member for Perth. Right, that question's finished.